Hey Brandon, tonight we're doing episode 35 of the Amine Dojo. I'm alongside Chris tonight. Chris, how you doing? We're gonna get
Doing pretty
into
good, buddy. How about you?
doing well. Can't complain. We're gonna get into the new. We're gonna have some news items. A lot of news items came out this week because Japan did their. It's called Jump Fest, which is a version of our upfronts in America, where they talk about all the anime coming out the next couple months within 2024 and beyond, a little bit beyond as well. So we got a lot of teasers for that. Plus, we got some news that Netflix is going to do something another thing with One Piece. We'll get into that because that's what they're trying to do with One Piece.
Because Netflix is doing too much.
There we go. There we go. We'll get into that. That's gonna be interesting. Also, we got some news of My Hero Academia, um, some news about Hell's Paradise, and some news about Shy, which is all good things. So we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna start off with the My Hero Academia stuff. We got two things from My Hero Academia. One, we got a new new trailer for My Hero Academia, and we got confirmed that the movie is coming out in summer 2024 for My Academia as well. So the movie is going to come out after the season seven stuff. So which kind of gives me the indication it's going to be non-canon. Um, Chris, what do you think about the fact that we got this new trailer? What do you think about that? But also think about that we're getting the movie and it's going to be confirmed for summer 2024.
Man, so looking at it, mean, it might be quite a reach, but I feel like My Hero Academia has discovered the kind of success that Demon Slayer has been doing. It's because they've been kind of doing that, except for their movies are not canon, but they're still technically their movies are kind of canon, but maybe this one won't be because I mean they are kind of off the wall a little bit, so
Mm-hmm.
it'd be interesting to see what the plot of the movie is going to be and if it does play into the anime or not.
I think the movie for me the season's gonna end the manga, but I think the movie's gonna either be a spin-off thing or a one-off thing. And the one-off thing I could think about there's two spin-off thing, one-off thing, or there's a third option. Third option is it's a stopgap between two things. What I could see them doing is either having a one-off story within the movie, a spin-off from the actual show, which doesn't involve anything with the actual anime itself from the manga. Or the other thing I could think they do is do like a fill in the gap kind of thing, where it fills the gaps between two certain seasons. Um,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the less likely choice unless they're going to fill in the gaps between season 6 and 7. That's the only gaps you would really want to fill. I think there's a lot of like the rest of the other seasons have the gaps are filled pretty well, in my opinion. I don't know if you feel the same way. Um, that was kind of what I kind of thought about. It's like, okay, if they do that, I think the one-off thing would be fun. Like, show us them after they finish off this arc and like where they're at after the fact, or show us the prequel thing of when Deco got born or something, and he didn't have any powers, and he met all these people
Well,
and younger, something like that.
what if they go the what's the route the Naruto route? How they came out with the last after the end of the Shippuden series?
Okay, so it continues the story, but it's like the last bit of that story.
Like you actually see Deku being the actual world renowned hero.
Okay, I'd be down for that. That'd be fun.
Yep.
And that actually would make it where you wouldn't need a season 8. In that case, you could just make an hour-long movie and cover that part from there.
Well, supposedly
Um,
this is the last season, so it kind of fits.
kind of fits that billing. Yeah. Um, that was the that was the one thing coming out of the Shonen, the Jump Fest. They really talked about other small things we got. I'm gonna kind of lump these together because they're all kind of interesting. We got a Magical Muscles trailer, which was really good. We also got confirmation that Bleach's thousand year um, blood war is going to come back. That is confirmed officially, and we also got confirmation through a couple different channels Crunchyroll themselves actually put that as a story, Crunchyroll News, but also corroborated from other things. Shy is getting a season 2 confirmed, and we got our first confirmation of Hell's Paradise coming back in season 2 visuals as well. So, Chris, I'll start off with this. The first 3 things I mentioned, we're getting Thousand Year Door or Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. What do you think about that coming back? Plus, do you think the Magic and Muscles trailer was interesting that we got?
Firstly, Magic and Muscles trailer went hard.
It
Like
did go.
they
It did went pretty well.
upgraded the graphics on everything and everything. I was like, ooh, they plan to go ahead. I was like, okay. So I'm really excited, looking forward to Magic and Muscles. Now, as far as My Hero Academia coming out, man, and all of those coming out in the same season, that's the thing to look out for. Yeah, all of those are supposedly coming out in the
Spring.
spring anime lineup. Oh Jesus Christ!
I'm kind of worried because if Muscle and Muscles comes out that year, we get Hero Academia. We're gonna get Thousand Year Blood War, and then on top of that, you're already gonna confirm Demons. Like that's gonna be a list of like that's 15. That's like 10 anime right there. That's just 7-10 anime right there. That's like gonna be insane. I will give you this one. I don't think Shy is coming out in season in that time frame. I don't think Shy is really good. I'm happy it got season 2. By the way, it deserved it because the story should continue. The one I'm kind of worried about though is Hell's Paradise because Hell's Paradise didn't get a release date yet. It just got visuals. If that also comes out in 2024 spring, I I'm slightly worried, and the reason I'm
But
slightly
see,
worried. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say only reason I think it'll come out in the spring because that's when it came out last year.
You're
Because it
right.
came out right alongside Demon Slayer coming out on the Sunday.
Correct. It did. I'm slightly worried though because I don't want to see what we're seeing with JJK right now.
Mm.
And it's the problem because Mappa own Hell's Paradise. And you know where I'm probably headed.
You know, they may own it, but I think they have another studio
That makes it,
that's
right?
doing. Yeah.
Okay. I'm worried because they also announced at this Jump Fest thing that we are getting Chainsaw Man the movie. Like I'm because Mappa, I know you worked on GDK. Y'all this episode we're watching today, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this episode was amazing. I'll give you that right now. But I'm also like, you're announcing 2 things that people are looking forward to, but at the same time, a lot of people don't like the way y'all handled JJK. I'm slightly like if you're I'm slightly worried if you're gonna just kind of push things out like this now, and we could have you could have Chainsaw Man and Hell's Paradise come out of Mappa the same year. That's gonna be a lot for them to handle, and I don't think it's gonna be a good thing. The only saving grace to this is the fact that they get the animators and then we'll get at least a couple months off
You know,
from
and
from this.
I just want to pose this only because
Go
I'm
ahead.
not going to put it out there, but it's because I work for a particular foreign company. I feel like even their influence on how they do business across seas, like I know. So my manager is of the foreign descent,
Mm-hmm.
and in talking to him, and he explained the culture of our company is that we want to try every idea, even if it's a bad idea. Because if we can put money into a bad idea, where at least we can say, hey, this bad idea cost us this much, but we know, doing this route is going to cost us this much.
Oh,
Does that
okay,
make sense?
that makes sense. I I know I know they said Chainsaw Man didn't make them the money they expected. It's also Chainsaw Man. I've seen a couple episodes of Chainsaw Man. I know it's good. but it's under that dark, I think a Dark Alliance um anime like series between that, Hill's Paradise, and JJK. JJK and Hill's Paradise are more well known. Chainsaw Man's been around a while, so I understand the point. But I think people were kind of shocked they were bringing it back anyway. A lot of people thought they weren't going to bring it back because it didn't do well. But you're bringing a movie out now? Now? Okay. Explain. Like,
They probably need to go ahead and throw a movie out so they can get the interest. See if we put
still,
out this a movie like this and we throw these elements in the movie, can we bring enough attention to the series?
okay. 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 But yeah, if we're gonna get Thousand Year War and Hell's Paradise in the same year of 2024, spring most likely, you're looking at a spring season that could have like we're gonna have 7 anime already. We have 5 already confirmed. We could have up to 7 confirmed at that point, plus a bunch of new stuff. I will venture to say we're gonna have that season will have at least over 50 something anime just in that season alone.
Boy.
Just in general. If that's the rate we're going. Plus the fact that we don't have a confirmation date for the one thing me and you both looking forward to, the Harley Quinn Ikase or the Suicide Squad Ikase.
That's already
I'm
been confirmed to come out in the spring. I mean, in the winter.
in the winter, right? That's what I thought. It is winter, and I'm gonna wonder if it does well enough. Do WB just say we're gonna roll into spring? So it's a longer
But
running. It's a longer running instead of 12 episodes. It might do 24.
but as right as you are, we cannot forget about the few seasons or few episodes of the shows we have crossing over into the winter season that's
This
ongoing now.
now Shangri-La. I think Fury Beyond Journey's End is going to continue.
Hmm.
There's a couple ones in there that they're continuing through this season. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see how they're going to handle this. But if I'm looking at all the announcements, the ones I'm really kind of hyped for, season 7 for Macadamia, Hale's Paradise coming back, because me and Chris enjoyed that. We enjoyed doing that. That was fun. Watching that and just going through it. And I want to see what they do with season 2 because they can up that. The visual quality was amazing anyway. I think the storytelling was amazing. What else can you do to that? Make the visuals a little bit better. But that's pretty much it. And then I'm if Thousand Year War does come back, I will probably get into that because if that's coming back, I know and I have to give credit to Dion. He brought that up every time we talked about it, the first part of the time, first couple times we run the podcast because it was that good. And I think that's one of those shows where even though it's old, it's Bleach, it's still going to do well enough for fans of that series. Like right now, Dr. Stone is doing well for fans of their series, but we'll get into that when we get to charts. Um, then we have one last news story to hit on, and it's one that I don't think anybody expected. So this hit, I saw it yesterday. I think earlier than yesterday. So Netflix had a special announcement for Netflix fans. We already have the One Piece live action. So do you want more One Piece? Okay, I think you do. They are remaking the entire animated series. Let me repeat that to you again. They are remaking the entire animated series. Why? I don't even know. That's the weird part about it. Everybody's like, are they seriously going to
Nani?
remake? Like, are they seriously remaking the whole series from where it is now, from where it started to where it is now? And I'm like, Netflix, stop. Like Chris said there at the beginning of this, Netflix, you're doing too much. This is officially too much. You've announced
I
so much
mean, you have
stuff.
Avatar. You have announced One Piece live action. Yeah, just apparently Yu Yu Hakusho didn't do bad. Uh,
Like
but
you also have Devil May Cry coming out soon with a Witcher. I can go down a list. There's about 15 shows, including the fact you also announced. I think it was Scott Pilgrim. That was on your list. Uh,
which just came out
which
that was also a success.
yeah, I did well. I did very well. Like, Chris, would you be interested in them remaking One Piece the anime and like building up the visuals, making it look better for the first couple seasons, or does it think it's just not worth it?
Honestly, I'm not gonna say it's not worth it, but I think it's too soon.
Why do you say too soon? Because that's an
Because I
interesting take.
mean, the original series only debuted in the early 2000s,
Oh,
and so
okay.
yeah, I'm finna fact check myself,
You're
but
not. You're
but
probably not wrong. Because if that's the case, then that means you're only updating from the early 2000s, and you're only doing a little bit of the.
1999.
Oh yeah, so 1 year before the 2000s. And we're in
So
2023, so it's 23 years later, 24 years later.
yeah, I mean, I would at least wait till the show is at least 25, 30 years old. I mean,
But we do know they're in the last arc of the anime, correct? Technically,
correct. Well,
I say
I,
technically. There's a big
yeah,
caveat there that they could continue it if they wanted to. But I remember in
but
the article they did say they weren't the last. They were in the last arc of the show.
yeah, and then recently I heard that they were splitting the last arc up into
Yes,
phases.
phases. I technically I would normally agree with you. Wait to 25, 30 years. In this case, since you are technically in the last arc of the anime and you're going to split up in parts, I'm okay with doing the first maybe two arcs right now and getting those remastered.
Well, you know what?
But
No, I would say wait till the end of the live action show, then go back and redo it.
okay, that's a better thing. I would say that too because the live action show is going to go faster. I think the live action show will get to where they're currently at pretty quickly at the rate they're going.
Hmm.
And if they do that, yeah, wait till live action's done, then go back and remaster the anime. I The only thing I really see with the remaster is just visuals. Like visuals would be the only thing you redo. Visuals, the maybe making it more towards like 14, well not 1440, but like 1080p or 4K levels of visuals if you really want to do it. Um, but other than that, I don't really think you want to mess with that too much
It
because
will.
all you're going to be doing is ripping the old anime and then just redoing the upresing for it. You're not going to re-record the voice lines or anything for it.
I mean, so I mean, it's a plethora of ways they can actually do it. It just, I overall, I think they should wait.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna ask this question before we get into the anime charts. And I'm thinking about this now while we're talking about it. Is Netflix trying to be the number two king of anime? In the sense that they're trying to kind of be at that level where they can compete with Crunchyroll. Even though Crunchyroll is still number one, the fact that High Dive is pretty soon about to be closed or about to be shut down.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's a loaded question only because Net, Crunchyroll or any other anime streaming service cannot compete with Netflix only because Netflix has more than just anime.
You are correct, but I think the reason I put Crunchyroll first in that department is because Crunchyroll also has the backing of a pretty big company, and it's in Sony, who also owns Funimation. So they have the money and backing to really get any license they want.
But
That's
and not
the
only that, but it's like if for Netflix to have a a category like Crunchyroll, their price would probably triple.
it's already $17, I think. or something like that for like the I think it's high. I know it's not cheap. It's
Yeah,
not cheap. Some
it's like
like
$25 for the premium deal.
yeah, but like the middle tier is like $17 a month or something. Is like yeah, would people want to pay? Would people pay that much for just for anime on Netflix? No, but at the same point, on the flip side, you're paying $14 a month or whereabouts, or no, but not worth 14, but $10 a month whereabouts for Crunchyroll, and you're getting a bunch of anime per month. So
Exactly.
in the hindsight, the pricing is actually better for Crunchyroll, not uh, Netflix. But the only reason I bring it up because I think it's funny because Netflix is really just trying to bolster that side of their stuff, even though they don't have to. But they're trying with everything under the sun.
I feel like maybe since High Dive is closing, maybe it's so, or for whatever reason, I feel like maybe Netflix has maybe probably bought up a few of the studios, and and
Oh,
and, and that's probably just their way of keeping those studios running. Hey, make this anime, make this anime. You know what I mean?
okay, I can see that. I can see
And,
that.
and it's a good, I guess it's a good way to bring up all the additional anime that we're getting made in South Korea.
Yeah, that's the yeah. There's, but also the fact like if WB and that's also a good example of this. WB has a branch over in Japan that's doing this Harley Quinn, the Suicide Squad anime. What else can they make eventually down the road once they finish that, or what other studios will WB pop up in other places to get anime made? So they have a
And
hand
not
in
only
this.
that, but we can't forget Disney also putting their hand in anime at this point as
Correct.
well.
Correct.
Yeah, at
Do
this
you?
point, I would like to see a nice spinoff. I would like to see Pixar do an anime.
Ooh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Like some like horror style or like something of that. Yeah, with the IP. Yeah, you could do it. Um. Okay, so before I have one other question before we're in charge because I also thought of this since we're already kind of talking about it. Do you think Crunchyroll is the? Do you think Crunchyroll has the monopoly for anime in the states right now,
No,
or just in general? Better said.
no.
Explain.
There are still a truckload of people who would still rather watch their anime free on whatever website they can go to. And that's just the honest truth.
Okay. Okay.
Now, so yeah, now the question is Crunchyroll the leading source of anime for the US? Then I would say yes.
Okay. Okay. Only reason I bring it up because I think it's also interesting. If you think about it, yeah, you're right. You can get your anime from free sites very easily, but it's always interesting how Crunchyroll has so much under their belt, but yet if you really wanted to use Netflix, Hulu, um, HBO Max, I can go down a list of other sites. It doesn't have the plethora, the smorgasbord of anime that those sites would have. And at the same point, do we ever see a day where one like Disney or somebody drops out the game? Yeah, eventually. I think that would be a while, but I think it has to be eventually going to be somebody in trouble with the game because I don't think everybody's going to be able to keep up with trying to. Nobody has endless deep pockets enough to do what you're trying to do.
That's
Um,
true.
so I don't. I'm just kind of interested by it. I'm interested to see what Netflix does with this. If Netflix actually is really considering remaking One Piece anime, let her like Chris said, let other stuff cook. Let's finish live action. Let's let some things get out first, and then think about it. Because I think ultimately, I think if you do it and it doesn't work out as well as you think it's going to work out, I think it's not going to be worth them to do it. Because I think if the series is still going on right now, and then you make the updated version that's better and everything, and people are like, Why just watch this? Why am I gonna rewatch it?
Like,
Like,
you know, like because a lot of people are going to rewatch it because of the live action. Yep.
mhm. Yes. So if the live action is doing well, oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people would go back and watch or rewatch an updated version of the animated series. But if live action's not doing well, I think it's not going to be worth that. So
Exactly.
let's get into these anime charts for week 11. Chris, these charts changed again. These charts changed again, and I don't know what to say anymore. Like this, this, this season's been insane. I'll run these down. So we got the Enemy in the Shadows season 2 at 1, Fears Beyond Journey's End at 2. They moved up 3 spots. Shadows season 2 moved 8 spots. JJK gets back in the charts at 3. Actually, it's funny. So we look at JJK and Fears Beyond Journey's End. It's 5.39 to 5.38, less than a percentage point from going up.
Wow.
That's insane. Uh, Crimson at 4 moved up 2 spots. The Apothecary Diaries dropped 1 spot to 5. Spy and Family dropped 5 spots. 100 Girlfriends went up 1 spot. Undead Unlucky went up 3 spots. The Vixen of a Shut-In Vampire stayed at 9. And the one I was happy about, Girlfriend season 2 went up to 10 at 7 spots. Chris, what is your big takeaway from this chart? And interesting enough, I'm guessing Dr. Stone had officially ended now. That's why it's not on this chart anymore. If I'm correct. Or is that, am I wrong? Or did it take a break?
Nah, bruh. Yeah.
Because Dr.
Dr.
Stone
Stone,
took a
when it
break, right?
arrived, no, no, that's what I'm saying. They're done. They finished their season.
Oh, they finished it. Okay, so I was right.
And bro, so bro, they were on the chart from their first episode to their last episode.
Yeah, they were. Jeez. That's in some consistency. Because you literally go from 8, 8, 8. Then you jump to 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Then you jump to 2 one day, 2 1 week. You literally you stayed on the chart every episode you had. How? Most episodes can't even do that. I have to give them credit. They did a good job with that. That means Dr. Stone was on a really good season this year. I'm gonna start watching that show eventually. That's the one on my list. But other than that, Chris, what else did you think on this chart that was interesting? Personally, for me, I thought girlfriend getting 10, well deserved. It needed it.
So, man, girlfriend, bro. I'm glad they got on the chart because they went through a lot, bro. And
That episode.
I still need to go back and watch Freeman because that one's deep too. Like that one's deeper than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like us, a lot of these I need to go back and rewatch because I want to watch Apothecary Diaries, but the only reason I hadn't because I was watching the uh the uh the omnipotent one,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is somewhat around the same premise.
I want out of this list too. I want to go back and watch Undead Unlucky because I know that's been on the chart almost every week. I heard good things about it, so like that's one I'm gonna look at. The Vixen of a Shut-In Vampire is also one I might go check out after it finishes. Like that's one I think, yeah, it's worth going back to see. I'm kind of shocked that Spy and Family dropped 5 spots. I'm shocked by that because I don't think it. I heard this episode was actually really decent, so I'm wondering if JDK hit on a level. This episode we're about to watch, this episode for JDK was amazing. So I don't. That one doesn't shock me. I'm kind of surprised the Shut-In Ender in the Shadows season 2 went up 8 spots because it was at 9. So that's going to be interesting. I'm actually the only thing I'm not shocked about on the chart is girlfriend. I think girlfriend or 100 girlfriends is actually going to stay on this chart because I think it's still people are still watching it. Enough people are still watching it and actually liking it, where it's going to stay here. We have one more week left for this chart. I wonder if girlfriend will stay at 10. But I'm gonna give you the rest of the list real quick because the rest of this list is insane. Because I think if I remember correctly, the rest of this list kind of does some weird things. But other than that, Chris, do you think JJK recut its stride, and do you also think that has helped them with these last couple episodes, or is it just that they're so well known in the space that they can get back in 3, and it's not with everything else going on that 3 is deserved for just this one episode?
Well, I do feel like they caught their stride back more, and at the same time, the publicity of everything that happened with the studio, I do think played a part, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was positive publicity or negative publicity. I mean, people still wanted to still watch the show. So overall, this season for JJK is really kind of hard to count it with the everything that they've had going on. But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
though, they still did manage to put this season out, and it's still a good season. So I'll say that.
Yeah. So from 11, actually, we're both wrong. Doctor Stone is still continuing. Doctor Stone, The New World Part 2 is at 11. The Rise of Shield Hero Season 3 is at 12. Shangri-La 13. Goblin Slayer 14. The Kingdom of Ruin 16. Your Unexpected, your You Were Experiencing Was Not Our Date Story was at 15. And Berserker Glutton's at 18. Mount Death Play is at 20. So everything else we've been watching for the most part has been in the same spot outside of a few moving around. Um Shy's at 31 and Overtake ends at 44 or 44 on this chart. We'll see what into the last chart.
Well,
I'm gonna
that's a
say this
little
right now.
disappointing, but they're still the most consistent.
Yeah, they are. So Shy and Overtake are the most consistent. They stay in the top. They do stay in the top like 40, like 45 somewhat. I'll say this right now, and I don't. We're usually talking just about the top 10, but I'll say this: I'll give you 3. If you're not watching Dead Mount Death Play, if you're watching alongside us, I do appreciate it. It's worth a watch. That's good. That's well deserved in top 20. We just watched the last episode of Shy, and after getting confirmed for season 2, ladies and gentlemen, Shy need to be up higher. Shy need to be up higher because that show does some literally deep things, and I don't think anybody can understand what they're doing half the time.
If you don't understand the stuff they got going on, you might want to go see a therapist.
It makes your mind think, and it does it in a way I think most shows can't do very well. You can't do. And then Overtake. This episode 11 was really good, but the last episode to Overtake is also really good. Like they have told a consistent story from the beginning to end, and it makes Formula One interesting. Very interesting, very well done. Yeah, those are just some of the stuff we've got into. And the full list actually has 67 anime in it. So there's a lot of anime this season. I was gonna I wonder how long the list was. So I was gonna get to when I got to the end, I was like, oh, that's a lot. Like this is probably one of the best seasons we've had for anime, and yet everything in the top 30, I'll put it that way, has at least has been a banger. In the sense that I think you can't go wrong with anything in the top 30. And I think a lot of people are going to go back and watch a lot of stuff from this season. This season is going to probably be most hyped up until we get to spring of 2024. Once we get to spring 2024, that's going to be another thing entirely. Winter looks already crazy enough as it is, but there's a lot of good in this season alone. I think me and Chris would agree. You go check out Girlfriend. I think you go check out Berserker Glutton. You definitely go check out Shangri-La because that's been hitting. They're continuing on through the winter. There's a lot of good, and I can't say that enough for something had been so diverse too. This is probably one of the other things about this season. There's a lot of diverse different anime. There's not just a lot of the same things we've seen because I think the year we started the when we started the podcast that season, there was so much of the same stuff. A lot of isekai, a
Mm.
lot of Shonen Jump. This season, not much Shonen Jump. A couple of isekai things here and there, but then you have girlfriend, hunter girlfriend. You have overtake. You have shy. You have Shangri-La. You have all this different, and each genre has gotten its thing. You have a couple horror things. You have a couple more like action adventure things. You have a lot of stuff. Such slice of life. So I have to give them credit. This is probably one of the seasons where there's a lot of different. So I'm gonna ask you this, Chris. We have one more week of the chart left. I want 2 predictions for that chart. Who do you think will be at the top? And who do you think who do you think will be in the top 3? I'll rephrase that question. And who do you think will be at number 10? And as he's going to give me that answer, ladies and gentlemen, get up JJK episode 45.
All right, so for my top 3, I think we're going to see Furion, maybe Ranga Crimson. That might be a stretch, and
Okay.
Eminence of Shadow. I think that those are going to be our top 3s. Now for
Okay.
10, wouldn't mind being between Undead, Vexations, or the 100 Girlfriends.
Oh, okay. So you don't think so you don't think JJ is gonna make top 3, which
Nope.
doesn't shock me. I can see that being the case. And you said 100 Girlfriends, Fixations of a Shining Vampire, and what's the other one? Undead
Undead,
Unlucky.
Unlucky.
Okay. I'll give you 2 to 3. I'll give you 100 Girlfriends and Undead Unlucky. The only thing I would switch out from that, I actually could see, and this would be kind of weird, I could either see one or two things, because it's been up on the chart before. I could see Spy and the Family hitting at 10, just because it kind of fell in a little bit. Or my other pick would be Shangri-La, would hit at 10.
Okay.
And the only reason I bring up the question is because like this, I want to see the final chart of the year where they do like the who did the best overall based on the fans. But this is probably this season of the charts where everything kept moving back and forth. It was so fluid to the point where you didn't have no real thing what was going to stay at top and what was going to stay who's going to stay at the bottom half. And then 11, 12, 13 were so close to the point where if number 10 had dropped out, one of those would jump back in. So I think looking at this chart now and seeing how people are enjoying stuff, it's been really interesting to see that fans are just enjoying anime in general. I think this is the year. This end of the year stuff has been a year where new fans have gotten into anime, and I think 2024 is going to be the year where you're going to have a lot more new fans getting anime in general, because
I think
you
we're
have a
gonna
lot.
see our. I think we're gonna see them come out the woodworks, bro.
In what sense? Like, do you see people just kind of like getting into magic and muscles, or do
We're,
you see people getting
we're
into other
gonna
things?
see. Of course, we're always gonna see a new crop of new people, but we're gonna see people who have been finally feel free of coming out their homes since COVID, and people who have spent time since COVID working on projects and everything. Like there are a lot of people who are going to show their faces that they're coming out.
Oh, so you think people that have actually do enjoy anime or don't watch it a lot are going to come out and with new things they've made, like cosplays, artwork.
Exactly.
Okay, I could definitely see. That is something I could definitely see, because I will say going to Acon for 10 years. We're gonna go again this year, or this will be 10 years. Going again this year. I think last year was not the weakest for cosplay. It was the slowest, because that prior year we didn't have an anime convention. This next year, is probably gonna be the one of the bigger anime conventions we're gonna be going to. Me and Chris is for Anime Acon. But also, I think I agree with Chris. You're gonna have a lot of people make art. You're gonna have a lot of people just show off their passion, and that passion is gonna get back. To get the anime community back together as one across the country.
Exactly.
But let's get into JJK episode 45. Ladies and gentlemen, JJK and Dead Mount Deathway, I don't know if they planned this by any sense of the word, but these two episodes were insane. More so Dead Mount Deathway. We'll get into that in about 30 minutes. But um my only thing is this episode does some things that I wouldn't expect from an episode. But yet, watch the end, ladies and gentlemen, because this episode also makes a character very, very strong. Not strong in the sense power strong, strong in the sense that he gets a very dark and dark ending to him. But it's not a dark ending like he's evil. It's a dark ending because now he knows what he has to do. And I'm also going to say viewers question revised because there's a good amount of blood. There's a good amount of blood in this. So if you're very squeamish, I would suggest tuning away at the blood parts. There are a couple that are going to kind of get to you very easily. One in particular with one of the other main characters. He loses a limb, so you'll see that. But I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Chris, you ready?
Ready?
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Metamorphosis, episode 45. And we're going to kick off to where the battle left off from last time. And you're basically riding a spirit. kind of...
Jumanji style.
Yes, it was. Yep, that's what that was. That is still creepy that he severed his own head and then turned into like an alien looking thing.
Look like that thing got for Men in Black.
Yes, it does. That's what that looks like, definitely. Okay, that thing okay, that's kind of a creepy visual. It grew legs. I didn't think it needed legs.
Started growing cartoon mode on these shoes.
Yep. Which that works in this case because he's a spirit, so I'm not gonna like solely say that. So. By the way, I've always wondered this with Togo. Does he have to pick? Does he have to think which one he wants to switch with, or does it do it automatically based on where he claps?
I would think it has to do something with him thinking about it.
Okay, because the first scene he switches with the spirit, he switches with Mojito, and I'm like, I wonder if he thought about that. That's why they switched, or did it, or was there a reason that he could just like clap? He's clapping towards Mojito, and that just automatically switches. It's not really explained
Yeah.
much, but that's why I asked.
Like I think it's like he has to be looking in two different places or something,
Oh, okay.
or he has to be looking at one place and thinking about the other.
Thinking about the other. Okay, that would make sense.
And here we go with the intro.
By the way, we haven't actually seen them walk through that area of Shibuya, have we?
Not yet, I don't think.
Okay. I wonder if it's just for visual purpose they use it here. It's not a actual thing they're gonna do, but it looks interesting that they showed them off doing that. Because that's a shrine basically where they were at in the opening.
You're right.
Everything else has been shown off. The train station, all the fingers. Yeah, so
Good observation, though.
oh
I
yeah.
didn't notice it.
But usually I know with the anime openings they don't do every you don't see everything in the trailer from the anime opening.
Okay,
So it's
see,
like
so that some of these are new scenes. Okay.
yeah. Like the chairs around her, that's we've seen already because that's the thing when she dies and she covers her eye. So we've seen that.
And she covers the part of her face that went
Was scratched.
kablooey.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. Was that how many he had left in his hand?
No, I think he just. I know eventually he does run out, but
He
I
runs
don't know.
out, but I forget. I don't know if we ever see the point where he's at his last bit. How? Okay, never mind. I was gonna ask how you lift that sign, but I forgot. They're sorcerers that can pretty much adrenaline.
Yeah, it's a lot of factors.
we've seen cars getting pushed in neutral and getting tossed around. So okay,
Right.
I'm not gonna explain. Oh, you just literally tried to drop kick him. What the? Just picked you up and threw you. Oh, there's a purpose he didn't release his domain because he didn't want Sukuna to come out. But yet, he says he didn't want to touch Sukuna or he'll get killed. But yet, he still does it, which is actually kind of funny. Oh, he
Ooh.
was doing the expansion so he could just. Okay, I get it now. Oh, that's disgusting.
He chopped off his own hand.
Yeah, and with it, chopped his own hand with his hand. With his hand.
Still left one heck of a bruise.
Yeah, it did, and I'm surprised it didn't blow a hole through his body. Even though he channeled it all, I would have thought there'd be some like, I don't know, like a dent there. Still the weirdest scene in this whole episode. Even
Yeah.
Mahito's even Mahito's like, what the what the what am I looking at? We do say that they do mention it is his imagination, so we're fine. And so I'm like, okay, this is not actually a thing happening. And I love the fact too they added the anime music in the background from like an actual song.
Right.
What? That's funny. I like that. Oh, that burned his hand though. Jeez. Like you have third-degree burns on your hand,
Man,
or deeper.
like skin just singed off.
Yeah. Toto. Yeah. It's a happy birthday, Ichidori. That just kind of sounds weird.
He did just go through a rebirth, so
Yeah, yeah, he did. I should give him credit. They changed the voice a little bit here for him, just very slightly,
yeah, they did.
to make it more spirit-like or more like demon-like.
Or even just more threatening altogether.
Yeah, just threatening. Would I be going after him if he's no? If I saw that, I'd be running the other way. You ain't punching. You ain't punching something that has something like some abs of steel, literally. Huh?
He's still feeling after his last hit.
Why was Ichidora's leg shaking? Did they ever mention? You just see it shaking.
It's fear.
Uh. Oh, jeez.
Dear creator of Dragon Ball Z.
Yep. This is where it kind of goes like, yeah, so high level.
Got him.
I love how they say time lag. Basically, he just delayed his punch.
Yep.
He delayed this. He delayed using his curse spirit.
And you remember where he used it first?
Yeah.
Against that old dude.
Oh, he thought he accidentally switched places, but he didn't. So he tricked him.
Yep.
That's funny. And then get hit. What? Get hit.
Got hit dead on.
That is Dragon Ball Z levels of like animation there. My word.
Mm-hmm.
Even for a fight. There's no Kamehameha, but still, that's just like.
So in that last little scene with his fight with Itadori, that's when he used his last.
Oh, so he used the transformation, and that ends up not having. He doesn't have anything left.
Yep.
All right, that makes sense. This is the part people where it gets kind of dark for Ichidori because he's just kind of like, you know what? I'm not gonna play any more games. I'm just gonna do what I need to do.
This whole symbolism scene that's coming is like, yes.
It's beautiful. It works. It does work very well.
Dear creator of Demon Slayer.
That's what I was thinking. One of them was the first thing I thought about too. We saw the first time, like, this
Mm-hmm.
is odd Demon Slayer, where they did the whole he's in the
Yep.
snow, running away from yeah, the whole
Mhm.
that whole sequence. I'm like, oh wow. It's funny though. He's
Hey, look,
running, and
here we go.
each door is walking.
But here we go. So, dear creator of Demon Slayer, copy CC Ghibli Studios.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. That's low when I thought about Ghibli Studios is probably also thinking, wait, where did they get this from?
Like, wait a minute.
Oh, that's in a second.
Ooh.
By the way, this is all imagination, right? This ain't real. Okay, yeah. That's one thing it doesn't tell you in the corner like the other one did. It just kind of says, oh, oh. And the one character come back we haven't seen yet in a while.
But if he's standing, that means
Man,
somebody else.
Imposter Ghetto. I'm not gonna do a full play-by-play for this because it doesn't need it because most of this was a fight. There's a couple things I do want to mention though. At the beginning, we see the fight start off, and we see the fact that they come from underneath the ground. Mihito says, "I will curse you and me to finish this. It doesn't matter what's happened now. We're gonna turn this up to 11, basically." Then they start the fight. He tries to get Toto out of here. He doesn't want him involved. Mito tries to use a decoy to get him rid of him. Doesn't really work. Um, and then this kind of fight just continues. It's a good flow, very interesting color palette. Then the thing that I kind of think kind of changes this fight. Each story is like, I need to hit this guy straight on to finish him, but ultimately I can't. So I need help. So then Toto helps him kind of get back in the middle of the fight. He's like, why are you letting me out of this? There's no point to let me out of this. Mahito finally attacks Toto, pretty much turned his hand into a transfigurative thing to lose one of his arms because he can't clap now. And then this gets really interesting because Mahito thinks he has this all won. If he does his domain expansion, everything will be his because Sugino can't come out. If Sugino tries to come out, he'll kill Yadori before that ever happens. And if if even to that point he doesn't believe Sugino will come out because there's no point. If he does, I lose. I'm dead. So he banks on that. He does do his domain expansion. Toto gets himself a bear himself, and then Ichidori kind of rushes in. And then we see this domain expansion happen. When Toto loses his hand, he's out of the battle for pretty much the rest of this episode until the end. We'll get to that. And then Ichidori just kind of just goes out and punches him. And here's the thing about this next section of the watching this. Before you see Ichidori start doing his fighting thing, and Toji loses arm and he falls out. Toji has this like weird flashback thing, which doesn't really make much sense. It's a imagination of the girl he likes from the idol group, if I remember correctly, and each door in his necklace. His necklace falls. You can see them both open up. It starts this anime music. It's kind of weird, kind of funny. In the end, what it does is give Ichidori time to hit Black Flash because they switch out. And but then Mahito's like, you know what? I'm just gonna morph. I'm gonna transform into my true soul. Here's my true soul, and then Mahito goes ham. And this is at the point Mahito. They showed Mahito had a couple spirits in his fingers at one point, or transferred humans at one point. And I asked the question at the beginning: was that the last ones he had? No. Technically, at the point he transforms here in his true form, that's the last ones he had. So then the fight goes back and forth, keeps getting bigger and bigger. Mahito's on top. He pretty much is destroying Ichidori. At one point, he hits Ochi so hard in the ground, they end up in the piping of the street and in this water. Ichidori is kind of getting nervous. His leg is shaking. He can't burn the courage, but he knows what he has to do. Get Black Flash. He hits it. This will be all over. And my word, this was, and me and Chris mentioned it, Dragon Ball levels of just a fight. Because
Dragon
ultimately,
Ball was insanity.
yeah, like literally, they're doing Black Flashes all over the place. They're doing different high end moves. It just feels like if you gave you know in Dragon Ball they give you an episode where they build up Kamehameha. Well, they didn't do that. They didn't build it up at all. They just kind of let it happen. And more and more things, crazier things happened as the time went on. Ichiro is kind of getting beat up. He can't really continue. He's getting bruised and battered. And Toto helps him out by clapping his hand, but one of his other hand is gone, which is actually a good hand. Once he does this, it tricks Mahito because Mahito thinks, "Oh, I didn't move. Okay, I'm good. I'm good." Black Flash from Ichidori to Mahito to finish Mahito off. Mahito gets knocked in its next week. Basically, that flying animation was insane. By the way, where they show him just flying in the air at one point, I'm like, you didn't have to show that, but you showed it. It looked like it's playing a baseball game. Like that that's like Team Rocket level of animation. It was kind of weird, but like, okay, cool. I'm down with it. Then this is the part of the episode that I'm gonna focus on from here to the end. Mahito tries to get more transfigured humans. He like literally sticks his finger to his mouth, which is kind of disgusting. But I know why he does it to get the transfigured humans. Doesn't have nothing left. Ichidori pretty much walks up on him and says, "I don't matter. I don't care what I have to do now. I'm gonna kill you. If I have to be the person I have to be in this war, I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna be the person that's gonna end up ending your life." And I'm not gonna go word by word. Basically, Ishidori is just like, I'm done with all this. I've seen one of my classmates already die. I've seen Toto help me out, and he's now dead. You killed Nominee. I'm just done with it all. And then so at the end of this, Mahito's just like, "Oh, I screwed up. I'm about to die." And he just gets up and starts running. Just stands up, starts running. Then they cut back to Ichidori. Ichidori's on this hill, snow covered hill, um, trees covered in snow, but it's like a dream. It's not like actual happening. With wolves on top of this hill with him. So he's the wolf. He's one of the wolves that are going after its prey. Basically, what they're trying to tell you. And then, like Chris said, this is Demon Slayer levels. Uh, this is Ghibli Studios levels of like, oh wow, we're just gonna take these things and do them. Cool, here we go. um, so then Ichidori keeps walking. Mito keeps running. Ichidori's just walking along. Don't care about a thing. He's gonna get to his prey in a second. Mahito falls, breaks his leg. Question: so can spirits just break their limbs because they're spirits, right? They don't have bones.
Remember, he was like something else though. Like we never really understood what he was. Like he was just like he was trying to compare himself to Sukuna at that point.
Okay. That's what I figured. They didn't explain. That's the one thing that's kind of like, they didn't explain it well. But I know also he does say he compared himself to Sukuna, so I kind of figured where you're going with that. So then Ichidori finally gets to him. Ichidori's like standing over him. He punches the ground in front of him, kind of knocking the ground out. And then you just see Mito keep crawling. But as he's crawling, before he starts crawling away, Ichiro just punches him and knocks him farther away. And he's crawling further and further. Then we get back to reality. As reality happens, he's throwing mud at Ichiro. He's done all this stuff to try to get away from him. You see two pair of feet standing in front of him. Mito. So at the top of his head. An imposter Ghetto stands right in front of him and says, I'll save you, Mahito. Do you want me to save you? That's where the episode ends. By the way, they cut to Ichiro's face. Ichiro's face like, Ghetto? Uh-oh. You don't, and like Chris said, that also means the character is about to be done in the series. Chris, what do you think of this episode? Because this episode was fun, interesting, and a way to continue a very good story. And now I want to see that fight between Imposter Ghetto and Meme.
Man,
Before I have Chris,
so
answer that question, ladies and gentlemen, get up Death Mount Death Play episode 23. Chris, continue.
So, I mean, this is just what I was saying, bro. Like, despite all that Mappa had going on, it still delivered this masterful piece right here. This
Oh, this
was an
game.
undeniably a good episode, bro. Like, kind of like trying to like we saw our enemy go through a physical metamorphosis, but we also saw Itadori go through his own metamorphosis. Bro,
Correct.
it was great, bro. Oh my god.
Ichidori's metamorphosis, do you think that was him becoming more ruthless or just becoming stronger? Because it seems like he was ruthless here. And
Or
it seems he didn't care anymore. He was just like, you just hurt a lot of people.
I would say it's more of him stealing his resolve.
Okay.
And like he finally dude, he understand look, this not I bet it this was his Spider-Man moment. With great power comes great responsibility.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that was his moment.
Got it. I get it now. And then my other question, before I ask for the rating as well, are you as excited as I am to see the fight between Imposter Ghetto and Meme? Because right now, I hope that's the next episode. It probably ain't, but it need to be.
But the fact that he's there and she's not, I don't know, because they could still turn around and say whatchamacallit, part 5 or part 4.
Yeah. Yeah. They could do that. They could definitely do that.
So yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm exactly looking forward to, you know.
I'm not either. I don't want to see the fight. I want to see the fight, but I don't, because I don't want to see if you're implying that Mimi is dead or badly injured. I don't want to see that, but I want to see how Ghetto gets to this point we're at now, because that tells me Ghetto really has some work to do to get to where they are right now.
Exactly.
And then I'm gonna have to ask for this. I know it's gonna be probably a tough one to do. Would you rate that episode 45, Metamorphosis of JJK season 2?
This episode definitely gets a 9.8, sir.
Oh,
9.8.
Explain.
I mean, need I say more, man? This episode, look, despite all that Mappa has had going on, the bad publicity, the workers, I'm sure by this point, I will hope they have got some rest, some sleep, some R&R. I mean, whatever they needed to relax and get some, but
Well,
because at this point, I feel like they made their standpoint.
we are heading into Christmas, so I assume they are getting a little bit of rest, because I do not think we're getting an episode that Thursday. If we are, I'll be shocked. This Thursday. Oh, if we get an episode this Thursday, then they're done. But we'll see. I have to give this a 10.
Ooh.
I have to give this a 10 because you did two things here. You kind of did three. You gave Ichidori more of his character building. That's the big thing you did. Two, you did it through somebody that's already been his friend throughout most of this season, most of the previous season, in Toto. And three, you tied up loose ends for me. You tied up two things. You tied up what happened. You tied up what happens after they get out of the well and everything under the city, and why they're fighting on top of the city now. You gave me a reason why Mahito wants to legitimately just go after Itadori to make himself stronger, and you gave us a reason why Imposter Ghetto is back in play. He came back to save Mahito, even though technically him and Mahito were not as close as everybody else in the team. I mean, Ghetto was actually closer to the volcano dude, not Mahito, which is kind of interesting. So you tied all that back together. I'm looking forward to they're going to show us the Meme fight now with him and Mahito because they've teased it previous episodes. And I also want to see what you do with Ichidori now. Toto's dead. If he finds out that Meme is dead or badly
I
injured,
don't think Toto's dead. I don't think Toto's dead.
you don't think Toto's dead? He is standing at the end of this episode, but yet he's bleeding out. His hand's missing. The boy's not doing too well.
I mean, yes, but it's the fact that he ends the episode on his feet.
But we did see him laid out at one point unconscious. So
right,
and his arm wasn't moving.
You are exactly right. But at the end, he came back from that when he was laid out to do that little. I guess he said the embrace for the soul. I guess part.
Correct. I will put it this way: if he is not dead, I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think Nail Girl is dead because now you basically gave me opportunity. You said it twice now. We see him fall out and wake back up, so he's unconscious. You pretty much said her life. She is technically dead, but it's not zero. You pretty much gave us in the same thing, the saying of they're still alive. You haven't seen them just have their last breath. Even though technically we've both seen both of those characters have their last breath. Like it's a trope all this time where if you don't see the character die on screen, they're not dead. I get it, but at the same time, when you also subvert the trope where you show us their last breaths in certain scenes, and you have dialogue to back up one of them, it's kind of like,
come on, man! Like, come on,
yeah. Like I don't believe you very much. But aside from that, I think this episode released back to form. The animation was beautiful. The way they told the story was nice. We have one episode left technically after this. Is it one? Yeah, it's one, right? One episode after this episode left for this season. I can't say enough good things about how Malpa's got back into form after all things that happened. Bad pussy and all, but I think that kind of lit a fire under Mappa for a bit because they knew they had to get back on form after having a couple episodes. After having a couple episodes that were kind of like not great animated wise, still good storytelling, but we'll see what the last episode brings. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about JJK episode 45. Now we're getting into the main event. Ladies and gentlemen, Dead Mount Death Play episode 23. What can I say about this? This back half of this episode, be prepared. I think we're gonna have action overload. Action overload in the back of this episode, but also the story they're about to tell with this is insane. And everybody is back in play, and it kind of builds into it very well. I have to give them credit. So I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Chris, you ready?
I would have had to redo a quick reset.
No worries. Go right ahead. I will say this: when the beginning of this episode is kind of weird, they do a foreshadowing, but the foreshadowing in this episode, at the beginning of this episode, has no bearing on the rest of this episode. So it is kind of a weird thing, and we'll talk about at the beginning because I want to talk about where this is actually going to show up again, if it actually shows up again, because that's the other big
Okay.
thing out of everything else. Okay, you
Ready.
ready? All right. So
Ready.
in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Episode 23 of season 1, part 2, the Declaration. The Declaration. That looks that looks like Pokey, but it's not Pokey. Yeah, and then they cut to the intro. Like, no, where's the scene taking place? Before this all happens? Still one of the best songs I like of this season. I think I played this about 50 times.
Really, you like this one?
I like this one. Okay, it's funny. You like Shangri-La's. I like Shangri-La's, but I can't listen to Shangri-La's a lot because I think the one thing with Shangri-La's is I think it's odd. Hearing the full song of Shangri-La, it doesn't. I don't mind the jumping around of genres, but it also doesn't pick one main genre either. I think it's also kind of
True.
the identity crisis there because it's like it still jumps around a little too much. In the intro, when they do it for the show, absolutely works. The whole song, I don't think works properly because you need to pick one
Well,
for the whole song.
I don't disagree. I just feel like maybe it was one of those songs that was just specifically made for this show.
Correct. Yeah, it's specifically made for Shangri-La. Like this one's probably specifically made for this for Damn by Death Play because it's a very upbeat song and the lady singing. I think the previous one, the
Yeah,
guy singing.
so depending on their why for it, yeah, that could be a whole deal too.
Uh-huh. Documentation of the fire of 100 years. So they tease us showing that they're about to go in the place, but they never show us inside. That is actually kind of interesting. But I'm guessing we don't have to see it because we know the history behind it already.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I have a theory about the house at the end of the episode because it's actually a theory I don't think nobody's thought about.
Okay, lay it on me.
I think the house is owned by Firestarter
Mm.
because he says the owner and everything about the paperwork checked out. Well, if that checked out, sounds like Firestarter owned the house. And my girl's back, by the way. Sorry. She gets like a little screen time in this at all this episode, but yet she's the one that makes the most sense. And she does a line that even spectating requires prep. The one thing he hasn't done. Like he's finding out who these people are who fire. And he says solitaire, but that's not even right. He's right, and I'm like, wait, you're not gonna you're trying to combine things that don't have any conventions. I love how I say she gets her time to shine, and she's like, I want to fight.
Mm. Can you blame her for that?
No, you can't blame her. She hasn't done much fighting in this show at all, so she wants to fight. I love the fact they tease his real name, but they don't let us hear. Let him say it.
I mean, and then they end up saying it at the end.
Yes, they do. They do say it at the end. So they tease it here, but they don't say. They say it at the end. It's kind of interesting. They don't let him say it right away because this goes down. By the way, why didn't y'all lock that door? It's funny when she says be friend because she just wants to get home. That's her whole point about this.
But that's not really her home.
That's the funny part too. That's the also funny part about this. She wants to go to the other world, but I'm like, wait, that's not your home. So why are you asking for all this stuff, including see his power? The element's eye. Follow this very closely because this actually proves a point that they say that we haven't that Chris proved when we watched it the first time.